when it'll end. COMELEC commissioners now taking a second look at its controversial Operation Baklas. That's after immense backlash from the candidates and their supporters, inconvenienced by campaign poster takedowns, even on private property.
We have COMELEC commissioners looking at the issue already. No? Kung makapag-submit sila ng mga written position paper nila, that could be one way to start the discussion. Pero internally sa COMELEC, nire-review na rin namin. The COMELEC is not deaf naman to the public, right? And if the public raises a clamor, as they are doing now, then we're not averse to looking at our rules again.
Spokesman James Jimenez says the rules covering Operation Baklas will be reassessed, including the specific line allowing COMELEC task force members to, quote, tear down and remove all prohibited campaign materials wherever posted or displayed, unquote. COMELEC has insisted it has the power to remove campaign posters beyond the prescribed 2x3 feet limit, even those within private property. But netizens criticized COMELEC after authorities painted over a pink mural in Isabela province. Images of the incident went viral online. Jimenez admits murals are not part of the regulation on election materials.
Hindi yan technically kasama, or at least hindi nabanggit, no, ang murals sa ating resolution. And again, that might be one of the areas we'd have to look again. There was consent doon sa ginawa eh. Nagpaalam po yung ating COMELEC official na tatanggalin yung mural na yon. And in fact, we do have video of the property owner saying na pwede bang pink na lang ang ilagay nyo, no? So there was consent. And again, ultimately, that's all we have going forward. Na there was consent on this. But again, technically speaking, it is not part of our resolution. The medium was different. And that the medium, again, technically was not mentioned specifically in the resolution. So that could have been it, no? As far as the election officer was concerned, it deserved the same treatment and so gave it the same treatment, again, subject to the consent of the property owner.
Jimenez clarifies people have the right to refuse, but may be subject to a case. Now we'll look at other election-related concerns. The Health Department reminds local governments not to show political preference in events such as COVID-19 vaccination drives. That's after mascots of presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos and his running mate Sara Duterte were seen during a child vaccination event in Talisay, Cebu. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez says partisan politics has no place in official functions. The Health Department also clarifying the individuals who attended a campaign rally in DOH uniforms are not employees of the agency. A viral photo showed more than a dozen people wore DOH uniforms to the UNI team's grand campaign rally in the town of Bantay in Ilocos Sur. The DOH says these people are health workers directly employed by the local government. And the building where COMELEC's headquarters are located in Intramuros in Manila will soon get a facelift. That's after netizens questioned the nightly displays of red and green lights, which they said is similar to the colors of the Marcos Duterte tandem. Every after sundown since last year, the Palacio del Gobernador displays what the poll body says are Christmas colors.
It was brought to our attention by a netizen and we felt that that's something that we can do right away. Nakikipag-coordinate po kami sa Intramuros administration and I think they have consented to changing the lights.
The COMELEC rents a number of floors at the Palacio del Gobernador. Other agencies under the Office of the President are also housed at the Intramuros building. Now, the country's first ever Muslim presidential candidate, Faisal Mangondato, gets the support of leaders from the Muslim community in Quiapo, Manila. Stanley Gahet has that story and updates on other candidates.
He may be at the bottom half of pre-election surveys, but presidential candidate Faisal Mangondato believes he has a fighting chance with the support of Muslim voters. Mangondato of the Katipunan Party takes pride in his bid as the first Muslim presidential candidate in Philippine history.
Yung acceptance ng ating mga kababayan, yung doon sa tumatawag sa atin, sa partido, marami nang nagsasabi na ang suporta nila ay sa atin dahil maganda ang ating plataforma, maganda ang hangarin natin,
kung babasihan ho natin yung sinasabing survey, para sa amin hindi po importante yon.
The Muslim community leadership in Quiapo, Manila has expressed support to Mangondato.
Ang pagtakbo niya ay isang malaking bagay sa mga kamusliman. Kaya ako ay nananawagan na suportahan po natin sila.
Mangondato vows to prioritize access to health care, food security, and agricultural productivity to fight poverty and create jobs. He says he is grateful for the opportunity to join the presidential debate to be hosted by CNN Philippines on February 27th.
Dapat lang na makaharap natin ang ating sambayan ng Pilipino. Tayo iba sa kanila. Inaano natin, pinupush natin ang bagong transition.
The Katipunan Party is pushing for a federal system, a move that would require constitutional change.
Agad-agad hihilingin namin sa Kongreso na balangkasin nila ang isang batas na nagpapatawag na isang constitutional convention.
Ang goal namin ay yung transition platform at action program na kami ay paano tayo makatawid sa sistemang federalismo.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate Jose Montemayor attends a forum on preventive medical emergencies in Cavite. Another presidential candidate, Norberto Gonzales, postpones his proclamation rally on February 19th in line with IATF guidelines and local government protocols. He will instead launch a mobilization campaign on March 5th. Ernesto Abella had an interview on government channel PTV4 on Thursday. He said he is confident of a victory in the elections. Stanley Gahete, CNN Philippines.
Two former cabinet secretaries and a health advocate will make their priorities and principles known in the next CNN Philippines Senatorial Forum. Watch former Agrarian Reform Secretary John Castriciones, former Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol, and Dr. Mingita Padilla as they take on questions and issues that matter to Filipinos. That's happening this Sunday, February 20, 7 p.m. with our senior anchor, Rico Hizon. Also join our presidential and vice presidential hopefuls in a debate. Catch the VP debate on February 26th, Saturday, and the presidential debate on the 27th, live at the University of Santo Tomas in Manila, only here on CNN Philippines.
The highest office of the land.
Unedited, unfiltered, coming soon.
A CNN Philippines special presentation, The Filipino Votes 2022 Presidential Debate. When we come back, with the rise in COVID-19 cases in Hong Kong, what are officials doing to keep watch over Filipinos there? And how effective are vaccines against the after effects of the coronavirus, also known as long COVID? Details next on CNN Philippines. Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. We head now to the Cordilleras. Among the problems there is the supposed massive smuggling of fruits and vegetables, which kills the livelihood of local farmers. Our George Quiles joins us from Baguio City. George, tell us how some presidential and vice presidential candidates plan to address the problem.
Well, all candidates agree that the government should put a stop to this fruits and vegetable smuggling. Some of them even took a swipe at the Duterte administration's policy to import instead of helping farmers to be more productive.
Vegetable farmers and dealers from Benguet blame smuggling as the main reason for the slow death of their industry, as smuggling led to the entry of imported vegetables without tax pay. The locally cultivated produce finds it difficult to deal with price competition. Vice presidential candidate Senator Kiko Pangilinan says this is among the issues that he and running mate Vice President Leni Robredo want to address as he visits La Trinidad and Atok, Benguet.
Ito ba dahil may mga matataas na opisyal na pumuprotekta o pinoproteksyonan itong mga smuggler na ito? Dahil parang family style na sindikato nangyayari rito, yung dapat inuuna yung lokal na manufacturer, dapat inuuna yung mga produkto sa atin, pero inuuna yung mga dayuhan at yung mga kasabot nila sa gobyerno.
Presidential candidate Manila Mayor Isko Moreno in his visit to La Union early this week also promised to provide full support and protection to Filipino farmers to uplift their lives and ensure there's food on the table for every Filipino family.
In our case, may awa ang Diyos, someday, basta yung mga smuggler, yung mga importer na illegal, sasawatayin ko yun. As a matter of protection to our farmers. Will we import? We may. Pero importation should be buffer, not the main reason for us to feed our people.
Another presidential candidate, Labor leader Leody de Guzman, points his finger to the country's compliance to requirements set by the World Trade Organization.
Ito na nangyayari. Nung tayo sumama sa WTO, kung dati tayo nag-i-export ng mga agricultural product, ngayon nag-i-import na tayo. Dahil binukas na natin ang ating ekonomiya. Maging tayo ay agricultural, pero nag-i-import na tayo ng mani, ng luya, ng bawang, ng sibuyas na kayang-kaya nating i-produce dito sa ating bansa. Nag-i-import na rin tayo ng galunggong dahil doon sa mga patakaran ng WTO.
Partido Reforma Standard Bearer Senator Ping Lacson, meanwhile, frowns at the import-dependent policy of the government.
Instead na mag-intervene yung gobyerno para tulungan yung mga farmers, lalo pinapatay by importing vegetables, fruits that can be produced in our country.
Senator Manny Pacquiao says that if he wins, he will allot funds not just for farmers, but also for fisher folks.
Laan tayo ng pundo para dito sa mga fisher folks natin nang matulungan sila nang hindi tayo mag-import ng isda o galunggong. No? Instead, mag-export pa tayo.
Baguio City Mayor Benji Magalong has openly endorsed Lacson Soto tandem. Mayor Magalong says he cannot assure the two that he will be able to deliver majority of votes from the summer capital, but he promised that he will help Lacson and Soto, who he believes will be the best leader for the country in the next 6 years. Aside from being alumni of the Philippine Military Academy, the friendship between Lacson and Magalong goes a long way. Lacson was the boss of Magalong during their stint at the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Task Force, or PAOK-TF, during the time of former President Joseph Estrada, and they have nothing but good words to each other. Back to you.
George Quiles there reporting live from Baguio City. The Philippine Consulate General in Hong Kong is monitoring Filipino nationals as the city grapples with another surge in COVID-19 cases. Around 20 to 30 Filipinos there are currently infected. Consul General Rally Tejada tells CNN Philippines Hong Kong's healthcare capacity is stretched to the limit. Quarantine facilities are at full capacity, while hospital beds are over 90% occupied. Tejada says some Filipinos were also fired from their jobs despite the surge.
Ang nakakabigla kasi mula from zero almost every month, for the past few months, suddenly with the Omicron, it grew to about umpisa 100, naging 300, and exponentially naging 6,000 a day. So nabigla yung Hong Kong government. Ang problem po for some of these kababayan natin, ang problema natin, yung iba sa kanila kasi they were on their way home. So tapos na po yung kontrata nila. Sad to say, itinaboy ng mga employers na nagulat din kami. Meron din mga employers na chose to let go of their employees, which is sad, but it happened it's happening and we're addressing it. Natutunto naman po namin and we are able to provide them a safe place to go. Problem na sa una kasi, this is not a matter of just a shelter issue kasi this is a medical issue. You cannot just put them in a flat or in a hotel just like that.
Tejada says the consulate is also coordinating with the Filipino community in Hong Kong to address their needs. Over 3.6 million people in the country were infected with COVID-19. Chances are some are still experiencing its after effects. A recent review in the United Kingdom shows vaccines not only protect you from death and hospitalization, but also can reduce the chances of getting long COVID. Carolyn Bonkin tells us more.
Marie Zui wasn't able to stop and smell the roses quite literally in the past year. Her complete sense of smell hasn't come back since her COVID-19 infection in March last year. Back then, she was still unvaccinated.
Mahirap for me kasi hindi ko alam kung panis na ba yung kinakain ko or what. Naaamoy ko lang kasi is yung usok. Kapag kami nagluluto, ganyan, or nagsisiga, naaamoy ko. Pero pinaka-weird yung wala namang nagluluto na may naaamoy ako.
Alan Barnuevo got infected over a month after his second vaccine dose. Alan's ability to smell things and taste food took 2 months to completely return.
Parang biglang uubukan na lang tapos or biglang kakati na lang yung lalamunan mo. Compared ng pre-COVID, hindi siya nung nagka-post-COVID na ako, hindi siya ganun kagad kalakas yung panglasa ko tsaka pang-amoy.
Alan and Maurice are going through the so-called long COVID, the lingering after effects of the viral infection weeks or months after recovery. Among the most common symptoms are chronic fatigue, headache, weakness in arms and legs, muscle pain, hair loss, dizziness, shortness of breath, and loss of sense of smell. Doctors say that some recovered patients complain of brain fog and depression. For now, how long it will last is anybody's guess. A comprehensive review by the UK Health Security Agency suggests that COVID-19 vaccines could help keep you away from long COVID. Those who had at least one vaccine dose before catching the virus are less likely to get long COVID than the unvaccinated. The duration of long COVID symptoms may be shortened if a person got vaccinated after the infection.
If you're vaccinated, your viral load may be high, but it's also early to drop. It will not have the time for you to develop more inflammation and therefore less of the long COVID complication compared to unvaccinated.
In children, the Pfizer vaccine could prevent multisystem inflammatory syndrome, a rare but dangerous COVID-19 complication. This condition causes simultaneous inflammation of organs.
Most of the MIS-C patients, the children, are unvaccinated. And those who are vaccinated, kung meron man na konti lang, they do not get the severe form.
Infectious diseases specialists advise those who have long COVID to immediately consult a doctor. Carolyn Bonkin, CNN Philippines.
Global debt watcher Fitch Ratings keeps a negative credit rating outlook for the Philippines while affirming the country's investment grade rating. The country's BBB credit rating is a level above the minimum investment grade, but BBB, but Fitch Ratings says the outlook is negative because of uncertainty about medium-term growth prospects, as well as the government's pandemic response and concerns on debt. Malacanang welcomes the rating as well as another report by S&P, which said the country's GDP could grow by up to 7.4% this year.
We have maintained the same rating from Fitch throughout the pandemic, despite a wave of rating downgrades for many other countries during the same period. And we expect economic reform momentum to continue as we thank Congress for the recent passage of the amendments to the Foreign Investment Act, the Retail Trade Liberalization Act, and the Public Service Act.
The Philippines is seeking an early conclusion of the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea. Speaking before ASEAN Foreign Ministers, Foreign Affairs Chief Teddy Boy Locsin called for an effective and substantive Code of Conduct, or COC, that, quote, excludes no country or power. The COC determines the actions that countries can take in disputed areas of the South China Sea. The ASEAN earlier adopted a 3-year timeline proposed by China, targeting 2022 for the COC's completion. Well, still to come on Newsnight, James Reid has hopped on a flight to America. Is the actor saying goodbye to the Philippines for good? And 2 years later, Stranger Things is making its much-awaited return. Details on Season 4's release after the break.
Interestingly, in the entire Ilocos region, Sara's father, President Duterte, only won in Ilocos Norte back in 2016.
Kailangan ng pagmamahal na binibigay natin kay BBM, ganun din ang pagmamahal na binibigay natin kay Inday Sara dahil nakakaya kung mapag-iwanan siya rito. Kailangan halos pantay ang buto nila.
Another presidential candidate, Isko Moreno, meanwhile, isn't giving up on the region despite the odds. He makes some rounds in La Union and Pangasinan, provinces that also voted for Marcos in 2016. Pangasinan is among the most vote-rich provinces in the country, with more than 2 million voters. Moreno also paid a courtesy call to La Union Governor Pacoy Ortega on Thursday. Moreno says he will do his best to get some support no matter how challenging as it is.
Halimbawa, paborito nila si Kandidato A at 5 sila sa pamilya, o makadalawa lang ako, okay na. Matigas man ang bulalo, dahil sa pagpupursige mo, lalambot din to.
Others in the region also refuse to believe there's a solid north for Bongbong this time.
Marami ng boto si BBM, kaya iskorin muna tayo, sir.
Opo naman.
Bakit po?
Mabait naman siya eh.
In the highlands of North Luzon, meanwhile, Partido Reforma standard-bearer Ping Lacson and Vice Presidential bet Kiko Pangilinan courted voters in Baguio City today. With a combined 6.9 million voters, winning the support of Northern Luzon is important for anyone running for a national post. Rex Remitio, CNN Philippines, Ilocos Norte.
Again, join our presidential and vice presidential hopefuls in a debate. Catch the VP debate on February 26th, Saturday, and the presidential debate on the 27th, live at the University of Santo Tomas in Manila, only here on CNN Philippines. In local music, actor-singer James Reid has flown to the U.S. and fans are wondering, is he moving for good? Photographs of a despedida party for him this week surfaced online. Plus, the artist's sister posted a video bidding him farewell at the airport. While James is a founder of Philippine record label Careless Music, he's also managed by Transparent Feed, a U.S.-based agency. And a Billboard chart milestone from fellow OPM artist Zach Tabudlo. His tracks Paano and Habang Buhay topped the hits of the World Philippines list. But that's not all. Binibini and Nangangamba also landed on the 13th and 18th spots. This makes Zach the first Filipino act with 4 songs charting simultaneously. It is the beginning of the end for sci-fi Netflix hit Stranger Things. The creators revealed seasons 4 and 5 will cap off the show while dropping these new posters. And fans can now mark the date for the 4th season. Volume 1 streams on May 27th, Volume 2 on July 1st. And before we go, let's take a trip down memory lane and turn back time to 1993. Check out these heartwarming recreations of childhood photographs 27 years in the making. Uploader Patrick O'Cock, who is from Malta, tells us these are pictures of his son Josh hanging out with some of the Ati kids in Boracay. In 2020, Josh caught up with his former playmates. Josh and his family run a philanthropic organization in Boracay called Mission of Love Malta. The group helps raise funds for the education and healthcare of the Ati community. Patrick's post has been liked more than 21,000 times on Boracay Retrospective's Facebook page. And that is it for now. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros. We now leave you with an exclusive first look at some much anticipated devices.
Samsung continues to push the boundaries of technological innovation with the unpacking of its new cutting-edge Galaxy S22 series. CNN Philippines got a look at the Galaxy S22 Ultra, S22 Plus, and S22. And now it's your turn to find out what they're all about. Hi, June. So tell us more about the new devices you recently unpacked.
With this new Galaxy S lineup, we are set to bring the epic standard for premium smartphones. This is the Galaxy S22 Ultra, and it is powerhouse encased in the sleek and simple design of the Note series. It is at its core an S-series phone with next-generation pro-grade camera and viewing capabilities. And for the first time, the S-series will have the Galaxy's signature S Pen built in. Now, the S22 Ultra is also joined by its siblings, the S22 and S22 Plus. These two devices are built to make every moment epic with dynamic cameras, enhanced image processing, and large, bright displays.
What are the key innovations of the new S series, and how would you describe the typical user of these devices?
RPN, Radio Philippines Network Incorporated, DXKO. 13.62 sa dial sa inyong radyo. RPN DXKO, ang Radyo Ronda